I overheard a conversation. I assure you I heard it correctly. A man wanted to send his potted plant out of Earth, the coordinates correctly given to the operator. And then he was to follow. For safety reasons, we don't send them together, right? So the potted plant went first. And then the man. Both arrived safely on the other side. Savron's 58, she said, on the other side of Jupiter's seventh ring. The conversation was between two ladies on a bench. And I was sitting on the bench just beside them with a tall, nicely trimmed privacy hedge between us. The man, upon arrival, felt nothing amiss. But noticed that his potted hygeria seemed to look somewhat less green. He dismissed the thought, assuming that it was simply the cast of the lighting in the arrival port. But the next day, the plant died, the leaves all fallen. Perhaps, the teleportation was too harsh on its delicate systems? He was sorry to see it go, and perhaps, because of that emotion, he ate nothing that day. And the next day. And then the next. He didn't feel hungry nor the need to eat. And in fact, felt full. In his words, as though he had already eaten. He noticed he felt fuller outdoors than indoors, and the fullness increased the longer he spent outside, to such a point that he had to go indoors to rest on what he ate. At night, he would immediately fall asleep with the setting of the sun despite still having a lot of unfinished matters. It was frustrating to be dragged into a slumber not of his own conscious effort. So he thought perhaps he should see a doctor. Upon seeing him, the doctor said, "Your skin looks a little green." The man replied, "Well, of course, since I hadn't eaten in some days." The doctor said, No. This green is different." With no other ill effects apart from the man's report, the doctor saw him off with some prescription for telesickness, just like the medieval motion sickness or air sickness. In the days afterwards, the man found that if he stood in the sun not blocked by the shadow of Jupiter's rings and stretched his arms out on each side, and closed his eyes, he could see his beloved hygeria with its blue flowers the color of Earth's blue sky. And his arms and hands glowed a shimmery green. When he took off all his clothes, he could see down the sides of his body under his armpits glowing green just under the surface of his skin, down to his thighs and legs and his toes. When he held his hands up to the sun that pierced through skin and flesh, he could see through the translucency of his pink flesh, the flow of round green cells moving swiftly through the rivers of interconnecting vessels, inside the shape of his reddish-pink palms and fingers. He didn't need to eat anymore. He didn't need to kill anything to eat anymore. He needed only air, sunlight and water. Whereupon, the listening lady exclaimed that it proves what she had known all along, that teleporters aren't safe, regardless of the make or quality. And though self-sufficiency is good, it was a horror that the teleporter had accidentally produced a photosynthetic human. There are those who choose to have photosynthetic implants since the start of the global food crisis. But accidentally? What if it had been worse? At which point, both ladies seemed to have abruptly noticed the lapse in the privacy of the hedge, and said no more.